Emotional eating, in my opinion, is any reason for eating other than physical nourishment. We are eating because we're bored, we're lonely, we're sad, we're happy, we don't know how to deal with our emotions or process them in a healthy way. So we're using food to cope and shove them down, to distract, to numb, to avoid feeling. We don't feel worthy often when we're binge or emotionally eating. So we're using food to try and fill a void that we're never going to fill with food. There's dozens of potential emotional eating triggers. And I love what you said earlier, that it is physical, emotional, energetic, and spiritual. It's not just physical or emotional. And I think that's one of the things that keeps so many people, especially women, because it's like 90% of the female population, unfortunately, struggling with these behaviors, is we just look at either the physical or the emotional, and we're not addressing all the potential triggers and layers that could be fueling the self-sabotage with food. Now, what's also interesting about emotional eating is physical imbalances can fuel emotional eating, like hormone issues. So as an example, if you have high cortisol, which is the stress hormone, it really messes with your blood sugar. You have more increased appetite levels. You have more cravings for refined sugar, refined salt, refined carbohydrates. So this hormone imbalance in itself can become an emotional eating trigger because now your blood sugar is more skewed. If you don't eat consistently enough and you have a blood sugar crash, you get hangry, right? We all know that term. And then you're like, I'm just going to grab the first thing I can find. And then that triggers what I call the all or nothing mentality, which is like, screw it, I messed up. I ate that junk food and I wasn't supposed to. And then it's like, well, who cares? Now I'm going to eat whatever I want for the rest of the day or the week. And I'll start my diet Monday or next month, or I'll start eating clean next week. And that all stems from a hormone issue. And if you don't know you have that hormone issue, you can keep in the vicious cycle of emotional eating just from that. Right? So then we see how hormone stuff can fuel emotional eating. I find weight loss and body image insecurity is a huge trigger for emotional eating, because if you get on that scale and you don't like the number you see, what are you doing? You're getting upset. You're saying, screw it, my clean eating exercise didn't work. I'm going to go eat all the stuff I wasn't allowing myself to have. And then, of course, the diet industry and diets are a massive trigger for emotional eating, because all diets teach us truly is food rules, food fears, more of what we shouldn't or can't eat, that we should be using a tool like a calorie app or points plan to count our food, rather than becoming intuitive and connected and going, what food feels good for me to eat, what satiates me, satisfies me, makes me feel good, and what doesn't, right? It's not, none of this is helping us tune in and tap into the body and become aware. So I find there's a multitude of triggers, but these are some of the things that amplify the most. But it really comes down to this lack of self-worth and not feeling good enough and using food as a coping mechanism.